Okay, everyone, this is a new updated introduction to KameSame, a Japanese learning system. We're going to walk through kind of just the opening hours of logging in, signing up, using the app. And to get started, we need to sign up, make a new account. So my name is this. I'm going to make a kind of extra email here and say, I don't know, kame@gmail.com. And then I guess I'll make up a weak password here. Now, additionally, you don't have to do this, but if you also happen to use WaniKani, we can use your WaniKani progress. Your API key is found on WaniKani's settings page, and you can just paste it in, and then sign up. It'll sync all your WaniKani progress if you have it, otherwise no worries. And the home page is, of course, going to look real sparse because we haven't made any progress yet. You do reviews, and those earn you XP, and those earn you levels. So that's what this is all about. Stars are things you earn each week by completing at least 50 lessons. And so each time you learn a new item, unlock it to go into your review queue, you get one little kind of portion of a star. And then once you get 50 in a week, you earn a star. And then finally, the last kind of motivator here is you want to clear your review inbox as frequently as possible in order to keep everything top of mind and to reinforce memorization. And so every time you hit inbox 0 on your reviews, you will earn an inbox 0. So the system tracks all these things just to kind of keep you on top. So obviously, like I said, kind of sparse. There's nothing here yet. We haven't started learning. To get started, we go to lessons. And there's several ways to learn new items. Once you've learned an item here, it can go into your review queue, and then after a few hours, it'll appear there, and you'll start seeing it with different frequency depending on whether you're getting it right or getting it wrong. So the first mode here is to study from a list. There are several lists that are kind of pre-programmed in with KameSame. First, there's the WaniKani corpus that you might be familiar with. You can start with like low-level vocab or kanji. There's also like the N5 list, which is the most novice level of the official Japanese learning list. This is a vocabulary list that was kind of taken from a community member who'd built it up. There's also a top 10,000 words list. And so let's start by just doing some regular lessons of, let's say I'm doing N3 vocabulary. So I won't have made any progress yet. Again, just like everything else, it's going to be kind of empty. I'm going to do what are called regular lessons here. And what that means is as I start studying, if I get an item right, it's going to go to my review queue, and otherwise it's going to sit in this queue until I get it right. And you'll see here this is the quiz interface. I've got 100 items left to do. I've got some, like UI flair here, like I can automatically fail something I don't know, skip it if I don't want to learn it in this session, or block it if I know I don't want to learn that word. All right, so this is N3, and so now in KameSame, you actually type with a Japanese keyboard. So you want to set your input to Japanese mode. If you don't know how to do that, Tofugu has a good article on whatever platform you're using, how to set up a Japanese, what's called an IME or software keyboard. So I'm going to type in a word for mistake. And this was not the one that the system was looking for. So this is called an alternate match. So it was actually looking for, and this is obscured here just in case you kind of have an idea and you don't want to be spoilered to it. So here we can click it. It's Ayamari, which we can check the reading here. And we can click here for
Ayamari.
the recording. Okay, so that wasn't it. Oil, probably abara. See, so that one was right. And you can see that the little flare, these actions under here are contextual. So they change based on whether you get things right or wrong in the lessons. And so right now this was added to our review queue. And you can click unlearn here if you didn't want to learn that word. But of course, we're trying to fill our queue up, so that's good. There's some other little bits that we can do up here as well. We can open that up in WaniKani, in Jisho. Gu's dictionary is very good. And especially if you can read some Japanese, getting example sentences and getting kind of more kind of color from a Japanese native dictionary is great. Totoeba searches sentence examples of varying quality. And sometimes when you're just trying to curious, like to disambiguate a word based on what it looks like. Here, it's unambiguous. We're talking about this kind of oil for the most part. That's what people think of. So checking an image search. And finally, if you want to look at how it's used in sentences or in practice and you don't have other good sentence examples, you can check the word in Google News and come up with articles that contain that string. You can add additional spellings and English definitions. So right now the only meaning is oil, but maybe I want to add another one here. I can switch back to English, cooking oil. Once I do this, that means that it will be considered a valid definition if I ever enter in cooking oil on a card. All right, so whole, we can just do one more of these. So Anna, that'll also get added to our review queue. Additionally, when we're studying, so you can see there's the incomplete items here. When we're studying from a list, there's two different types of cards right now. Those were recognition cards. Or excuse me, those were production cards. Those are cards of, can we, given an English prompt, produce the word in Japanese? We also have recognition cards, and so that's like here, do you recognize this word? Can you type in, it's an adjective, ara yuru, boy, I always forget this one. I'm gonna get it wrong sometimes. Actually, you know what? When I know I don't know something, I can use the fail button here. So let's click that. It just puts in a wrong string. Oh, nope, it actually means all or every. Okay, well, I definitely want to learn that one now. And this probably means handshake. Okay, cool. So now I've got a recognition card in my review queue as well. This button here also copies it to the clipboard. If you want to copy it, you can go and paste it someplace else. Okay, so that's what a regular lesson from a list looks like. We have other modes as well. By the way, anytime you see one of these, this brings up like a little tutorial. The escape key, I'll dismiss it. We're going to do a placement test now for N5 vocabulary because we assume that we know that a little bit better, and we're going to shuffle that around. So start studying. So gradually, I assume it's going to want don. Great. And so what that just did, now you see unburn here. Burn means that you've completed, fully studied the item, and so it considers it memorized now. So I won't see that again. Good at could be a couple things for an N5, maybe Tokui. Nope, it's probably looking for Jozu. Yep, so there's Jozu. But here, because I got an alternate match, I can either learn it, which means it'll go into my reviews as if I just studied it, and I'll start learning this new word, Jozu. Or if I already know it, I can come back and try again to burn it. Tsuyoi. So again, it gets marked as burned. So if I get this one wrong, the thing about placement tests is it'll automatically, as soon as you get it wrong, assume you need to learn it, and it'll go into your review queue. So it's a little bit about how you can add stuff to your reviews that way. So lots of different kind of customization in how you learn. That's just a little bit about lists. One last thing on lists is let's go to a hard one. So the N1 list is the hardest. We can also survey the content. And what this will do is it actually won't change. It won't make any kind of commitments for us from a review perspective. We can type in anything we want. Like, so if this means I think pause, Ima. Nothing just got added to my review queue either way, whether I get it right or wrong. I can add it to the review queue with learn. I can mark it burned because I got it right. Or I could just kind of continue, and you can see it's marked correct. But if I get something wrong, like I think this probably means yearning, type blah, you can see it gets marked as done even though I didn't get it right, because it's just a straight shot through a list. The point of the survey mode is to kind of get a sense of like what kind of items are you going to find in a list, or if you just want to kind of do a practice run of some stuff. All right, so those surveys answered correctly and incorrectly. Okay, so that's studying from a list. Again, you can see that my stars started to fill up here a little bit. So I got 4 things completed up towards 50. This second section here is the Wanikani item lesson dingus. This is only available if you entered a Wanikani API key. You can see I have 10 lessons available at Guru or higher. which is like SRS stage 4 or something. But apprentice is lower, and I've got 34 items available to me to learn that way. I can randomize them, or I can do it based on how often I get them correct or wrong. Maybe a good way to start is do lowest percent correct, so you're doing your weakest items first. And you can study recognition as well as production, but because Wanikani already includes recognition, a lot of people don't like that. But I'm using KameSame more and more lately, so I'm just going to start the lesson. So whole. Oh shoot, that's 8. Oops. 7. River. Okay, great. Down. And you can see it's actually batching up the recognition and production, because you have to switch your keyboard each time. If you don't want to do that and you want to actually randomize it, over in the settings page, you can change batch studies by type, and that way it'll truly just randomize. You'll get one card at a time, and it'll just assume that you're fast on the trigger for switching keyboard types. But you can see there's a lot of different types of settings here. For general stuff, while we're here, you can see you can change your password, you can take a look at your Wanikani settings and update your API key if you need to. You can go on vacation, pause your reviews, and then once you're back, you can unpause them. You can reload the page, which some browsers, like progressive web apps, don't always make it easy to do. Log out, resync all your Wanikani items, and then reset the whole system. All right, so that was a little bit of lesson stuff for Wanikani. It's pretty self-explanatory. Last bit of lessons here is what I call study words found in content. And so this is really, really one of my favorite ways to add new terms. So let's say I'm watching a TV show, I download the subtitles, or I'm listening to a song, I can copy paste the lyrics. So these are lyrics from the song Odd Loop by Frederick. So this is the kind of first section of the song here. What's going to happen when I click scan for vocabulary is actually going to like perform a lexical analysis of the Japanese and try to tokenize it into separate words, which is like a hard problem for computers to do because Japanese doesn't have spaces. Then it's going to take all of the verbs, and if it sees any sort of like okurigana here, it's going to like search for the dictionary form of those verbs. Like I'm pretty sure that almost all the verbs here were in te form, adoteru, and so forth. So here's just odoru. But you can also see teru, which is technically in the dictionary, even though it's not really a word, it's a verb stem. So what this interface does, because you're going to get a lot of kind of cruft that you probably don't want to study, you can what we call block an item. And so this is just going to prevent it from ever automatically coming up in your reviews, either right now or in the future. Because if you do a lot of stuff in this mode, you're going to see a lot of kind of filler words pop up over and over again. You may just not want to study them. You can use the same sort of like lesson types as before. So we can make this all a placement test if we want. You can reorder these items if you'd like, if that makes it easier. So here we're organizing them by reading, so we can kind of look through, and now it's all phonetically organized. And so you can see there's like a lot of words that are just like kind of basic grammar, kunyomi, and then there's a lot of chukugo, so you a little bit of everything. Namaiki, impertinent. All right, it actually separated telescope into a couple words. So one thing we could do is, if you wanted to kind of like pre-work the content beforehand, you could go back to the lessons page, take the content that you'd pasted in, and make the job of separating the words a little bit easier by putting them on like new lines. That way it's abundantly clear to the system where the words stop and start. But for now, we're just gonna hop in, do some study, and Toron? I think Toron. Okay, cool. So that's burned now because I was in placement test mode. Now, one thing to start showing you probably worth doing is there's a lot of keyboard shortcuts in KameSame. So you can hit the / key at any time. It'll bring up the keyboard shortcut menu. You can see you got a lot of options here. You can blur focus on anything with the escape key. You can submit any form with command and enter. We're not in the navigation menus area right now. We're doing lessons. And so during lessons in Apple platforms, the control key is the modifier, but in other platforms, it's the alt key. So you can do quite a lot here. You can fail items, skip them, learn them, burn them, and basically whether you can take one of these actions or not depends on whether or not that button is currently in like the context of where you are available to be clicked on. It's just a shortcut so you don't have to click things. You can also, when the copy button is up, Control C will, or Alt C will pull up the item and copy it to your pasteboard. You can play the audio from here, and you can deobfuscate alternate matches. You can also quit with Control Q. So let's use some more keyboard shortcuts. So Control C, you can see that copied the thing. If I hit Control P,
討論
it'll play the sound. Hit Enter here. So again, I can hit Control F, fail it, but I don't want to learn Tele, so I'm going to unlearn it here. I can do that with Control. Ooh, is it U? Let's check the list again. Unlearn, unburn. Yep, Control U. Okay, so now that's unlearned. One thing to mention too, while we're kind of getting into like slightly more advanced parts of the interface, KameSame is actually like really friendly with the back button and with refreshing the page. You can refresh the page anywhere you are in the app. It's not going to hurt anything. Unlike a lot of other apps like this, it's not, it's meant to be robustly used in all sorts of different contexts. So it's safe to go back. You can see here now that I clicked unlearn. It's no longer in a learned state. If I did that by mistake, I could click learn here or hit Control L, and now that's learned again. So feel free to go back, forward, refresh the page, anywhere you want in the application. Everywhere supports it. This is probably looking for Goshi. Again, so if you're... Oh, did I mistype it? There we go. Oh my. So this might be just a shortcoming of our dictionary here. Because I'm pretty sure Goshi, since the IME completed it to just one thing, should work. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new Japanese spelling. We're going to make that valid. And so we got it wrong this time, so it's learned now, but when we see it in the future, why didn't that show up? This might be a bug. Oh, maybe I just didn't save it. So this is the item page. I guess while we're here, it's probably worth pointing out a lot of stuff you can do from this page too. So it shows you the meanings, the various readings. You can start a one-off lesson to learn just this vocabulary. So for example, I think I just learned the production, but if I want to learn the recognition of this one too, I can, across. Oh, shoot. I clicked on the item for the other word, the one that means Vietnam. So I don't want that. I want to go across. And here we go. So this is the search pane. This is a standard little interface. You can go to small items, big items. You can change the order of the items. Since the one I want is right here. Again, while we're talking about keyboard shortcuts, you can hit J and K and bounce between your things. Hit Enter to go in. And so what I want to do here is I'm already, you can see my progress now on the production. I haven't done any reviews for this item yet. So production progress is here. It can also, if there's multiple definitions, you can specify which one you want. And that'll be the prompt at the very top of the screen when you're doing your reviews. Sometimes, a particular word has 5 or 6 meanings and you already have 4 other words for the top meaning that and you want to get one that's more distinct. You want to learn that word for a different reason. So that's why it's configurable. Again, also as it knows here, we've started production, but we haven't started the recognition skill. So now we can start that. And so here I'm going to say across. And great, now I've learned that word. So a lot of times, when I'm just watching a TV show or something and I hear a new word that I haven't heard before, I think my wife Becky last night asked me what does waku waku mean? Here we can see waku waku can mean trembling, it can mean nervous, excited, thrilled. And you can also see conjugated forms on most verb pages. I really don't know if waku waku counts as a verb. It's a pseudo verb, which, this is very wrong. So we got to work on the conjugated forms. A better example of a conjugated form might be a simpler verb. Let's do mutu to see. Okay, so this is a little bit more not wrong. And here you can see the different verb forms, polite and dictionary, passive, mirareru, for example, or potential is probably here somewhere. Mieru? Or not. Okay. So, here we go. Mirare. Is that right? I don't think that's actually used. Okay, so another exception, I suppose. I always use mieru, which I guess is probably technically a different verb, huh? Yeah. All right. To be seen. Okay, cool. Again, you can also see the open-end items. You can see what kanji are created or make up that word. One thing we didn't do yet is learn kanji cards. So I mostly use KameSame for vocabulary, but if you're also studying kanji, you can do any of the kanji that are in the Wanikani corpus. Eventually, I'm going to pull in Kanji Dict, the JM Dict equivalent that we got all the other vocabulary from. But here we can learn Wanikani's kanji. We'll just start studying some. And you can see the kanji cards, they're pink to visually just discriminate. So you can see, oh, this is wanting the definition of this kanji. If I say, gosh, I forget this one, committee. Cool. So now I've learned a kanji card as well as a vocabulary card. Yeah. Some people they want to learn the kanji this way, and that's great. One thing to keep in mind is that when you go to do a production of this card, so we're going to go learn now the production of this kanji, you're going to need to type something else. So I'm going to type Joe, which I think is a way to get this kanji up. Maybe not. Well, great example, right? Because obviously if I just type E and I keep going forever and ever, I'm probably not going to find this particular kanji anytime soon. So keep scrolling. I actually do see it here. So this is probably the easier way to find it, is just type the reading and then bounce it in. Otherwise, what I end up doing a lot of the time is I find a word or know a word that has that kanji in it. So iki or itaku, to consign. Okay, so let's go back. So that's just command right to go forward in my browser. I'm going to type itaku now. Okay, so I've written a different word that contains the kanji that I want, backspace, enter, and now I've got the kanji right. Some people think this is cheating because you didn't really just type only the reading, for example, but it's not cheating. If you can produce the kanji, you can produce the kanji. And if you think that the website should be providing some more highfalutin way for producing just one kanji in isolation without seeing all of these kind of pop-ups and stuff, you really need to consider how Japanese people type with computers and with phones. There's no such thing as using a computer in a world totally divorced from getting hints from your computer as to what you might be typing. It's just how computers work. And so learning how to actually type like a Japanese person would type, especially on your phone, which we'll show momentarily, probably worth learning as a skill separate and apart from learning a bunch of vocabulary. All right, so I'm going to hit Control Q, quit out of this interface. And you can see I need to wait 3 hours until my reviews are ready. So that's pretty much the basics of the interface up till this point. If I go to my progress here, you can see I still don't have any XP. I have earned 11 towards 50 of my lessons for the week. You can also see here that the things that I'm learning, I can kind of drill in and see the lists of them here. There's only 11. You can see I've burned 4 items, and you can inspect those as well. Okay, and the started studying is the first of the statistics. There's 3 other lists that'll pop up here, things you're getting right a lot or wrong a lot and that sort of thing. Okay, so let's come back in 3 hours and continue. In the meantime, go take a break. Okay, so we're back. It's been a few hours, and now the 12 things that we started studying that weren't burned yet in the first section here, those are now ready for review as indicated by this little red pill in the inbox. Now, the more reviews you have pile up, the more full this inbox gets. I think up till 300 or something. So don't have more than 300. Here you can start a review clicking this button right here, and this will start a review. You can see this is a kanji card, so 7, 2. Now, just like in lessons, there are a couple different keyboard shortcuts available to us. We can hit the keyboard shortcut and review them again. In particular, you'll see that there is an undo feature. So fail and undo are the two that you'll use the most in the review section. You can see undo here. Now, undo, you can undo as many times as you want. If you got the thing right, or if you got an alternate match for the item, you can hit Control-Z or Alt-Z to undo. You can see it just like changed the counts here. It went from 2 things that were complete to just 1. Control F again if you want to fail a card. So let's get through these kanji. Okay, so now again, because we have the default mode which batches types of things, first it did kanji recognition and now it's doing vocabulary production. So throughout a period of time, remember that was the custom preferred text that we'd set on the word goshi. And again, we can type it either way because we added an alternate spelling for this word. So we're going to enter that in. Oh, and did we forget to save the alternate? Well, that would explain why I got that wrong, right? So I saved the wrong alternate spelling. What I meant to say is that the alternate that I want is the one without the okurigana. Boy, that makes me feel silly because that's what the IME says works. So I have to assume it's right. Okay, cool. So a couple things we can do. One, we can actually check in Gshow whether or not what we think is a real reading is a real reading. I suspect because this uses the same data JMDict that we use, it's not going to see this as a valid reading. So let's check Japanese Language Dictionary in Goo. And maybe I'm just full of it, right? Seems like it always contains the okurigana. The little she at the end. Well, okay. Maybe I'm just super wrong. In that case, this is a bad idea, but we're going to go roll with it anyway. Let's pretend this is a good idea because it's a good excuse to use the undo feature. Now you can see that undo 3 is right here. This is because to avoid abuse where you're undoing all the time, like everything that you get wrong just because you don't want to get stuff wrong. I know I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'll kind of give myself the benefit of the doubt when it's left up to my own interpretation. So if you get an item wrong and you want to undo it, like in this case, like if we're convinced this is actually a valid reading or a valid spelling of this word, you can click undo or hit Control-Z. And now what that'll do is we're back to 100% correct. It's as if we didn't get this thing wrong at all. If you click back in your browser at this point, you'll see sort of like a blank slate screen because it'll be like, hey, there's you hit undo. So we don't know whether you got it right or wrong. It literally deleted that response. So we're gonna do oil now, abura. Again, you can hit Control P at any time to pull
Abura.
Neat. Good at. So that was Jozu. Tele. Oh, I thought I didn't want to learn this one. You know what? For words you don't want to learn, like let's say we're doing this review and we're like, man, this is not a word that I care about. You can click into the item, and then I don't need to block the vocabulary, but it can unlearn production here if I just don't care. So this will just remove it from our review queue, basically unlearn that lesson. Now I can go. I could go back to my browser and continue doing reviews, or I could go forward, and if I just click through to the review section. Oh, by the way, we were talking about keyboard shortcuts, right? So you can navigate these menus just by pressing the key that the letter starts with. So progress, P, L, R, S, and then escape to get out of there, and then A for account. And you probably noticed that like when you click on things, you get, at least in Safari, if you have this accessibility feature turned on, it'll highlight, but you can hit J and K to scroll through the different sections of most of these pages, just so you're able to get through exclusively with your keyboard. because I don't like having to use the mouse when I don't need to. So not using the mouse, hitting R. You can hit J and K to go through these main things. So I've got 5 items in my current review. Now, the reason for this is like your review exists in this browser tab, and you can leave it here and you can come back to it and you can keep working on it anytime you want. But of course, time marches on, and if you have other things that like become available for review, you can choose then, do I want to continue the review of the older set, the stuff that's more outdated, or do I want to start a fresh review of everything that's currently in flight? Another instance might be like maybe I've got a review on my Mac, and I also have a review going on my phone, and the two become out of date. Now, KameSame will do some things to like, if you've already gotten something right in another device recently, and it's no longer available for review, it'll just silently remove it from your review so you're not doing the same thing over and over again unnecessarily. But here you can continue this one, and it'll just pop you right back into the review, or you can abandon it, start a fresh review. It's a nuanced difference, but it's completely up to you how you use it. Pull on all right, so here's the thing that we have, the spelling that is or isn't a good idea. I wonder, okay, so how do you get to the dictionary? Does clicking this go to the dictionary? No. It shows this. Koshi, yeah, I'm more and more convinced that this is a wrong spelling. So we're going to go and just delete this spelling. So we got it right this time, but next time we're going to have to type it in the right way again. So we learned the recognition for this one as well. So now we're in the final zone. We're just doing recognition handshake. And committee. Remember, we want a way to type this particular kanji. We're going to do itaku consignment. And there's that kanji. And then you can see we just hit inbox 0. Great. So we're going to quit out of here. Yeah, you can see we got 5 items correct. And we earned 0 XP. Well, that doesn't sound right. Should have earned some XP. I have a feeling I monkeyed around with the data here and broke the XP. You're going to have to take my word for it that normally you earn XP in this. So what you should have seen there is we would have gotten some progress made towards the next item. And we didn't because I screwed up the database. Darn. To take a look at like kind of what a more full account looks like, let's log into my real account. I'll log out here. And this one, because I haven't messed with it, will allow us to earn XP. You'll also see that I haven't been very good about staying on top of my reviews this weekend. So I did earn this week's star, so I've been doing some lessons. I'm at level 40. And I should explain how this graphic works. So the outer ring here is how many levels to 100. We have a max level of 100. You've earned, and the inner pie slices here are how close you are to the next level. And so this roughly maps to where this progress bar appears. So I'm this close to level 41. Now if I go down, you can see that there's other sections, like these are the things I frequently fail, like the word asen, which means kind of offices. I don't know if this is like a UK English thing. It seems like it just means like good graces of, or by favor of, or something. Gekyuzo, sharp increase. Down here, reading reliant. These are things that I typically only get correct by providing the correct reading to, as opposed to the kanji. So if I provide shisu, just the hiragana, I'll still get it marked correct, but it keeps track of whether I got it exactly correct as if I was providing the kanji or just the reading. I didn't show an example of that one yet. And then likely leeches. These are words where I almost always enter in, before I get it correct, I enter in something else. So I bet you anything that I probably typed when I said relation, kanke. But that's not what this is looking for. It's looking for kandren. So reviewing these every now and then is a handy way to kind of like, maybe this is a good thing to study offline or write some notes about, and spend a little bit of time just focused on your problem cards. So I'm going to go hop over into reviews. See, I've got 179. So last inbox 0 was all the way back on April 8th. So I should probably get on top of this. I got 2 things coming the next hour. All right, so to shoot or to launch? That means to hit. This guy? Yeah, there we go. Kyaku? Like that? No, that means leg. Kyaku like that. All right. All right, so let's, if I don't feel like doing kanji right now, I can just abandon this and start the review over again. All right, cool. So I'm going to produce attendance. Hoshi. All right, great. Jinsoku? Or maybe Kibin? It means clever. Let's say Kibin. All right, cool. This is a little bug in the text formatting. Capital city. This is the Tokyo Metro. Shuto Ken? All right. So to lurk, let's get one right. Now, this is the exact right answer, but let's just get it right with just hiragana. Shoot. That was the wrong one. Same kanji, though, so hisomu is what it was looking for. Propulsion, boy. Suishin maybe is what I was looking for. All right, so let's try typing that in just with hiragana to show a reading correct. Okay, so Suishin, it'll, you get a lighter shade of green, and it'll still mark it correct, but you won't get, I guess, full credit as far as the database cares. You can copy that here. It'll still copy the full word. All right, so that's pretty much, I mean, it. You do your reviews and you learn the language slowly but surely, and then a couple years later, you know thousands of words, or at least so it seems. So that's the basic tour of the application. Next up, I want to show how you can use your phone or your tablet to study, because I primarily use this application not on my desktop, but when I'm walking and I'm out and about from my phone. So let's take a look at that next. Okay, now I'm looking at my phone here, and one thing I forgot is that I need to verify my account. So I got this long-looking link in the email. I click through. All right, great. So confirm my account. Cool. Now I could just log into my phone using Safari here, but KameSame was actually intended to be used as a sort of kind of progressive web app to the extent that that's supported on Apple's platforms. Of course, it might work better on Android, but I don't have an Android device to test with. To add or quote unquote install the application, what we need to do is scroll down, and excuse me, I forgot my phone is in Japanese mode. But you want to add it to your home screen. You'll see the icon update. We'll add it here. And so here it is. I'm going to drag it down to my dock because it is obviously the most important thing on my system. All right. And now you can see it takes up the full page. And we're going to log in now. Actually, I'm going to just type it. Type in Searles plus pane@gmail.com, and the very secure password. All right. So now we're logged in here, and we can see this kind of burner account that we'd set up before. You can kind of get around everywhere. The tabs are when you're logged in via a progressive web app, it moves the tabs down to the bottom. Otherwise, they'd be at the top. You can search for a word here. Let's pick a word like research. I don't know. You can search in Japanese or search in English. You can search with Romaji or Kanji or Hiragana, doesn't matter. Let's say Kenkyu. Although I think this is a slightly more typical one. Audio should work fine here too.
研究
Okay, so I can learn this vocabulary. A couple other things we notice is that it can detect whether or not you have I think just these two apps, Japanese and Midori, installed as well. I love the Japanese app for iOS. So it can just jump straight to its definition. You can see it also has a lot of really good example sentences built in. It'll ask your permission apparently, starting with iOS 13.4.1. Great. Normally it would have just jumped immediately. Midori, same thing. I'll pop over and show you its definition page for the item. All right, so now I can learn this vocabulary. And you can see you still get these action items here. They're just bigger, of course. And we want to use a Japanese keyboard. And here I use the flick keyboard. So I'll type in the answer, hit enter, learn it, unlearn it, go, and then switch back to the English keyboard. And here I just actually swipe research. Cool. And that's pretty much it. Of course, if you're doing a lot of reviews, you can, and you're, especially if you're using the flick keyboard or the swipe keyboard, you can just one-hand it. And yeah, it's a good time. So that's a basic tour. I know it took about an hour, but an hour is not much of an investment when you consider the multi-year journey of learning another language. Hopefully this tool is useful to you. Please provide feedback. If you want to contribute to our server costs, we have a Patreon that's linked to from the account page. Appreciate people enjoying the platform. I built it for myself and I use it every day and it seemed to work for me. So if it works for you too, then all the better.